Nairobi, how are you? Turn to your neighbor, look at them, tell them this. You must have been a beautiful baby, even if they don't look like it right now. Yani ilikuwa ni lazima niweze kuwapatia ka intro ka wenyewe, kwa sababu leo baadhi ya subscribers wangu wameweza kurequest kwa sana niwafanyie the journey of one Mr. Daniel Ndambuki Churchill, who happens to be the CEO of the love industry Kenya, the director, the producer, comedian, actor, radio co-host, MC, influential personality. Yani I can introduce him with so many titles. Kwa hivyo imebidi leo niweze kukaa chini kufanya uchambuzi wa hapa na pale, lakini nimekuja kuondoa kwamba akona details mob, na kulingana na uchambuzi wangu nimeona kwamba itabidi niache some of the details kumhusu kwa journey yake ya maisha yake, na ni concentrate kwa sana those very important information that make up his journey. So I'll be trying to look at his life from the beginning mpaka sasa hivi, but kuna information, a lot of things I'll have to avoid because his journey entails a lot of things ambazo ni muhimu, lakini hatuwezi kuwa na muda wa kuyazungumza yote, but I'll make sure that I don't give you a bulk information, but at the same time I don't leave out so important details concerning his life. Kwa hivyo believe me when I say sit back, relax to enjoy this one, the journey of one Mr. Daniel Churchill Ndambuki, the one we know, the popular one, the legend himself, ambaye amezoea kufanyia watu wengine journey, lakini yeye amekataa kufanyiwa journey. Kwa hivyo leo ndio ile siku. Now, of course, my name is Justine. Bakora. What you need to do, just subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also remember to participate in the one subscriber movement whereby you bring me at least one subscriber. So ningependa kuanzia the journey of Daniel Wambua Ndambuki Mr. Churchill, kuanzia alipozaliwa hadi sasa hivi mwaka 2021 wakati anafanya vipindi za The Journey series kwa sababu ya ile corona. Now, Danny was born in 30th October 1977. Now that tells me that he is 43 years old. He was born maeneo ya Kitui pale, baadaye wakaweza kuhama kwenda Machakos. Danny aliweza kupoteza babake mzazi akiwa bado kijana mdogo pale. Kwa hivyo yeye pamoja na mamake Churchill kwa jina la Monica wakawa wamehamia pale Machakos, ambapo alisoma shule ya msingi inayojulikana kama Machakos Township Primary School. Later akawa amejiunga na Mumbuni High School. Now at Mumbuni High School ikafahamika kama Danny alikuwa na uwezo mkubwa sana upande wa drama na upande wa my events pale, comedy events. Alikuwa anashiriki sana musicals, nakumbuka zile vitu za shule. So he was very good, he was a very dramatic young man, but he usually was a very cool gentleman, and hakuwa anapenda sana kuongea story mob sana, except when he's on stage. That's when he was really up his game, but he was just an introvert. He was just an introvert. Alikuwa anapenda kutulia pale. Now later akawa amepata some scholarship kujiunga, at least according to the information I have, Chicago University kuweza kusoma mambo ya drama, lakini ikabidi hangeweza kuenda kwa sababu ya mambo ya hela. So he didn't manage to go there. So later what he did, he went to study theology, studies at Word of Life, and he was introduced to this theology na one of his friends at that time. Now we are entering 90s, tumetoka 77. Amekuwa mtu mzima kiasi, amesoma primary school, amesoma university, high school, Mumbuni High School. Then somehow ndio amepata some scholarship kwenda Chicago University pale, lakini kwa sababu maisha pale kipato kilikuwa kidogo, hakuweza kujiunga. So he went to study theology in the Word of Life in Kabete, where he was introduced by one of his cousins. Yeah. So after college sasa maisha yake yakawa magumu sana wakati huo. Maisha ya chacho mazee akakuwa magumu sana. Wakati huo mazee pesa kupata ilikuwa ni shida. So what he used to do, he just used to wash bottles. Kwa hizi kampuni za waindi that time, ndio zilikuwa fashion huko maeneo ya industrial area pale, kuoshaosha machupa pale, sometimes kupanga mambao, all manual jobs, you name them, zile za kuitiwa zile kazi za mkono, mara mjengo hapa na pale. And indeed life for them was really, really, really very difficult at that time. Life was just really, really so difficult for him, trying to look for money here and there kwa industrial area. And you remember those days really, the city Nairobi kwa imekuwa established vile. Now, during that time, that's when he was really, really trying kufanya mambo ya theatrics pale. So one time akaenda KBC auditions. Na wakati huo vijana walikuwa wanajitokeza kwa wingi kutafuta manafasi pale KBC auditions pale, kuweza kupata angalau hata role wafanye. You remember KBC that time ndio ilikuwa kusema sana. KBC was actually the biggest TV station in Kenya. Actually the only one if I'm not wrong, because TV stations like NTV zilikuwa, but zilikuwa zinashika maeneo tu fulani like ushago sijui ni area gani yenye mlifaa kuwa nao ndio NTV iweze kushika that time. So mainly KBC ndio ilikuwa kusema. At that time he managed to get a very small role, baada ya kung'ang'ana sana kwa auditions hapo akapata a very small role. Alikuwa na act kama mlevi fulani ambaye alikuwa anaitwa Bwana Asava. Alikuwa na act kama mlevi fulani, jamaa fulani mlevi, alikuwa analewa sana, anakunywa chang'aa pale. So Churchill akapata hiyo role. I just call them supporting roles, So from there, wakati amepata hiyo role hapo kwa kipindi mojawapo hapo kwa KBC pale, he says in one of his interviews kwamba this role was a bit tricky because the first episode alikuwa na macho the second episode alikuwa amepofuka kwa kunywa chang'aa. Now of course that's the character, yeah, Bwana Asava, the character was just trying to bring out in that particular kipindi. So later he actually got a chance to act in another kipindi yenye ilikuwa inaitwa Tausi. And here by the way, in the same cast kwa hiyo kipindi ya Tausi hapo KBC ndio women rep ama ule mwakilishi wa kina mama kwa jina la Sabina Chege, Sabina Wanjiru Chege. She also participated in that particular play yenye ilikuwa inaitwa Tausi. It was a Swahili series and she was acting kwa character fulani ilikuwa inaitwa Rehema. So that time you can tell that these vipindis, they were not paying so well. They were actually not paying so well. So at this time Churchill bado hakuwa amemake it as that much, he was just still trying to spread his wings, lakini bado maisha hayakuwa amekubali kabisa kwa vyovyote vile. Now it is in this era that he actually formed together with one of his friends mwenye anaitwa James Chanji ama ukipenda Mshamba. Alikuja baadaye akajiita Mshamba, stage name, jina la utani. And they formed a group called Public Noisemakers. Public Noisemakers, where they used to actually act for people and try to make money here and there. and by good luck wakapata chance NTV that time, and their program ikawa inaitwa In True Colors. So In True Colors, this group ya public noisemakers, Churchill pamoja na Mshamba na wenzao pale wakawa wanajaribu tu kuona kama they can form something out of it. Later of course akawa amejiunga na marafikize akina Maurice Otieno pale. Maurice Otieno was later to be known as Mdomo Bagi, and kina Nyambane pamoja na John Kiarie, who is now an MP, and the one Mr. Peter Kaimenyi, who is popularly known as Kajairo, and Anthony Njuguna. They formed a group known as Ridiculous. Now Ridiculous ikawa kubwa sana that time. Ridiculous became a household name. People started talking about Ridiculous because it was just one hell of a group. Yeah, they had talent. You look at Kajairo and the things he was to do later, forming comic songs here and there. You look at Anthony Njuguna, the kind of role he could portray. You look at Mdomo Bagi and the role he could portray. You look at Nyambane and the way he used to imitate President Moi. So Ridiculous iliweza kutamba sana wakati huo. But they also used to perform here and there. But in terms of money, yeah, somehow they made some little cash. But for Churchill, he didn't really very much establish himself as such. Yeah, of course, Ridiculous baadaye kiliboreshwa kikaja kuitwa Red Corner. Red Corner ikawa inazaa talanta mpya, kina Munai Generali walizaliwa, kina Makoha. So there came a season when some good talent really came into play. But for Churchill, really at this time, he had not established himself that much. In fact, he was just trying to do theatrics at the same time. He was also trying to act here and there. He was trying to put himself alikuwa ni hustler, yani for example tuseme alikuwa ni hustler at that time because we were just trying to go here and there. Yuko hapa kwa hii kipindi, mara anaigiza pale Kenya National Theatre, trying to also remember he's a playwright at this time. He also used to write plays here and there. So kati ya hizi miaka za 2000s hapa akianzaanza up to around 2007 pale, he was simply doing television vipindis here and there. He was also hustling here and there, plays, but he very much had not established himself that much. But yeah, a few coins were coming in his way at this time. Some few coins zilikuwa zina come through. Now at about 2008, that's when, together with the one Mr. Bob Nyanja, Churchill came up with Churchill Live. Together with Bob Nyanja, they came up with this project, Churchill Live, and it turned out to be a very great project at NTV. Now this time walikuwa wanafanya their live recording at Canvo Grounds, and at this time they were trying to come up with an idea where they can have a live show where they can entertain people live, and at the same time that program to be edited alafu ipelekwe kwa runinga. So among the first guests at that time they had was one Mr. Mambo Mbotela. That time was a big name, with his legendary program ile aje uniungwana. So he just came to entertain guys there, and some other guys kina Papa Shirandra this time around. That's the time alikuwa ameanza kipindi yake ya Citizen. It was just a big name that time. So some common faces, and they could come up with a music band. And also this time Chacho had a friend kina Jacob Ghost Mlei pale, and they formed a very, very nice start. They laid a good foundation. But remember, this time Churchill was the host, and he was the comedian himself, trying to make people laugh. But at the same time, the band, entertaining people with music here and there. You can agree, if you look at the clips of Churchill live, this time round ikuwa hata imeitwa Churchill show, it was Churchill live. You could see that it was a humble beginning. The stage, look at the hata viti zenye walikuwa nakaa hiyo time, the formation, the crew members, you could agree kwamba that time it was a humble beginning. But little did they know that this one was going to be one hell of a program later, as it turned out to be. Now, early 2008, later 2008, that's when he discovered Eric Omondi. He actually discovered Eric Omondi. Now he could come to stage and introduce Eric Omondi, and Eric Omondi was such a great talent because that time alikuwa ametoka uni na alikuwa kijana fulani mkora, na alikuwa na jokes fresh na jokes very, very funny, and Eric Omondi turned out to be a very, very huge name in the country. Then later he started discovering some new talents, and Eric Omondi came up with some skits, anaenda anafanya tu video pale. I remember there's a clip hata bado ipo kwa YouTube ya Churchill, where he actually took one of Wahoo songs and made a comic song out of it, and it turned out to be a great one. So Eric Omondi really added some value to this Churchill live show. Now in 2009, Churchill set out to look for talents. He came up with a very big program yenye ilikuwa inajiita Top Comic. Now the aim of Top Comic was to try to fish out some new talent and to also give the local boys, wale vijana wenye walikuwa na hamu sana ya kuweza kujitoa kwa mwanga waonekane, wapate chance ya kuweza kujulikana. Now he came up with Top Comic, and trust me, around 28,000 young people participated in this event, trying to this competition yenye walikuwa wanachuja polepole, confidence, the kind of jokes you have, then wanachuja mpaka wapate the best. Now among the people who who made it to the top, ni akiwemo jamaa fulani tunayemfahamu kama mkurugenzi anaitwa Abel Mtua, who at that time he already had a name for himself. He had acted at Tidy High, from 2007 to 8. So he already had a name, but on the comedy part bado hakuwa amejulikana. So that time he came and he finished second. He finished second, Mr. Abel Mtua. He really did well because at that time he had lost his mother wakati wanaelekea finali. So this comic competition, this top comic competition also discovered one Mr. Emmanuel Makori, who was later to be known as he was later to be known as AKA ama Ayeya Power Power. So Ayeya was actually discovered from this top comic competition. But the winner of this competition was one Mr. Geoffrey Oyo. Mr. Geoffrey Oyo ndiye alikuwa mshindi wa hiyo top comic, na according to credible sources inaniambia he went home with 1 meter. He went home with 1 meter. Abel Mtua came second, and at that time tried to fish out some sources nione iwapo there was any reward for the second person, Sipati, and even the third person. But Abel Mtua finished second and some other guy third, but Mr. Geoffrey Oyo turned out to be the winner of that event. Now in 2010, it also marked a very important year for Churchill, because this is the year that Churchill actually participated in a Hollywood movie yenye inajulikana kama First Grader. Now this movie ya Hollywood, director wa hii First Grader alikuwa anajulikana kama Justin Chadwick, and this movie was written by one Anne Peacock. And also some of the participants of this Hollywood movie ni Oliver Litondo, kina Naomi Harris, kina Vusi Kunene, kina Israel McCoy, kina Shoki Mogapa. Now Churchill was acting as a DJ. Alikuwa anajiita DJ Masha. Now this first grader is about an 84-year-old who is trying to go back to school or something like that. Now check out the movie and watch it. Naone our very own Ndambuki alikuwa anaigiza vipi in the first grader. Now unfortunately for him, later in November this same year, because for the first grade ilikuja kukua officially released on 13th May 2011 the following year. But for Churchill, 2010 also marked to be a very difficult year for him because he got some scandal. He got some scandal up November 2010 because of some ladies who tried to con him or some 3 million shillings or something. But he stood tall and he rose up against the the setback, and eventually walikuja kukamatwa. So it wasn't a very good year for him, especially hapo mwisho because alitrend kidogo because of that particular setback, but he was very strong about that time. Now in 2011, the highlight of his life then is the release of this first grader, like I said, that was released in May, about 13th May 2011, and also the discovery of very many stars and very great talents for comedy in his show. Remember this time Churchill Live was still known as Churchill Live, bado hii jakuwa imebadilishwa jina, and this is the time that it was now heading for a break, and this time was the beginning of the likes of kina MCJC. Erikomondi was also a very great name, and this time round Churchill Live was now ilikuwa imekita mizizi, it was now a household show. People now used to watch the show, as many of them as possible. Now he already had a big name at this time, and that's why he actually trended when he got some setback in the year 2010. So 2011 marked him coming back with a bang and standing tall, and also bringing in some fresh faces in the Churchill Live industry at that time. Now early 2012, when they were coming in for the third season of Churchill, that's when they badilished the name from Churchill Live to Churchill Show now, and this marked the entrance of yet more faces. Now I'm going to read to you a list of the comedians who have had a chance to perform at the Churchill platform. Before I do so, I want to remind you that Churchill was not doing Churchill alone. He was also having another group of actors, or a play. He used to write plays at this time, and he was involved in writing plays such as is a play ya Kikamba. Alikuwa amefanya translation kuja kwa lugha ya mama, yani from English to Kikamba. So together he had formed together with some of his colleagues. There was one Mr. Sam Mwangi who was a team leader. There is a group they used to call the Heart Springs. It was a popcorn theater or something like that. Now Mr. Sam Mwangi was the team leader of this group. Now I'm talking of something different from the Churchill Show now, because Churchill Show imeanza wamebadilisha jina kutoka Churchill Live, now ni Churchill Show. So at this time akawa na team leader fulani wa Hot Springs, Mr. Sam Mwangi. Then there was an associate director alikuwa anajiita Ken Waudo. Then there was another one mwenye alikuwa anaitwa Victor Bear, who we know till today. I hope you remember the allegations za Zedi. He brought up this name. Now this name has been there kutoka kitambo during the Hot Springs period back in 2012. So Mr. Victor Bear pamoja na Sam Mwangi pamoja na Ken Waudo na Churchill Daniel Ndambuki walikuwa ndio viongozi wa hii Hot Springs, where they were nurturing talent, a couple of actors who also featured kwa Nairobi Half-Life. I know you guys remember Nairobi Half-Life. Na sasa wakafanya plays kama vile Mashetani, then there was that Kikamba play. I have forgotten how they used to call it kwa lugha ya Kikamba, but it used to mean don't tell anyone. That's how it used to mean. Now from there, the Churchill akakuja ameandika plays zingine at this period, kina plays kama vile Dare Kenyans to Love, plays like the 43rd Kenyan Tribe, plays like Let Kenyans Be Kenyans, plays like This is Kenya. They came up with so huge, he had this huge ability of writing plays, and he still has that ability to date. Now there was a piece of information I was forgetting, and I will request you forgive me. I remind you something. Back in the 2000s, when he was working at KBC, hustling there na mavipindi na nini, there was a time he was given a chance kwenda kutangaza mpira na Jaco Sylvester. Imagine, Churchill was given that chance. Then they go to this kwa game that time KBC kwa natangaza ball za Premier League, the Kenya Premier League, kina Tusker, kina Western Stima. So Churchill, Jaco Sylvester then was a big name in terms of kutangaza ball, and he used to be very good at it. Jaco anatangaza ball. Inafika time anapea Churchill aendelee kutangaza. Paka na muintroduce, anasema okay, sasa nimemaliza dakika 15, acha nimpokeze mwenzangu Ndambuki na yeye akutangazia dakika zingine 15. Ndambuki akipewa anaangalia karatasi, anatapatapa, Jaco inabidi tena anarudi kwa mic, anaendelea kutangaza. So at this time Ndambuki discovered that he wasn't so good at commentary. So akaona heri aweze concentrate kwa mambo ya plays, mambo ya comedy na mambo ya acting at that particular time. So that's a piece of information I was forgetting to give you. So now we can go back to 2012. So at this time nimekufahamisha anaandika plays hapa na pale, and they are actualizing the dream of actually nurturing talents apart from the talents of comedy. Apart from the show that is now known as Churchill's Show at this time, they are also nurturing talents of actors. A lot of actors were born there. A lot of great faces ambazo tunaziona kwa maruninga zetu hii leo were born kwa easy plays za Hot Springs. Now later, so many guys had joined Churchill. I remember this time they were still doing it at Carnival grounds. He was still actually bringing more talent in terms of comedy, bringing more guests. Now he had started interviewing guests at Carnival. Analeta mwanasiasa ama mfanyabiashara, wanakuja kumhoji during the show. This is something they introduced later, trying to educate the community, trying to bring those serious faces from serious places wafanyabiashara ambao unapata wamenuna wakati wa kazi, anawaleta wakati huu kuja kuwa entertained pale na kuweza kuhamasisha umma. So at this time, this is things that started happening when the show was redefined. When this show was redefined. It is also, remember at this time, he had joined the radio. He was co-hosting a very big morning show with his friend Maina Kageni. Another piece of information I had forgotten to tell you is that Maina Kageni was one of the judges during the Top Comic back in 2009. The other two judges at that time were Mr. Tony Njuguna and one Agal Toto Masawe Japani that time. So Maina Kageni, I'm trying to imagine that this is the thing yenye ilifanya Maina wakakuja pamoja na Chacho kuanza kufanya morning shows classic. So I think I'm imagining hii Top Comic ndio iliwaleta pamoja, but I'm yet to know. I'll confirm it with Churchill himself when I meet him, if this Top Comic thing is the one that actually brought them together. I'm yet to know, but I'm just trying to imagine that Top Comic huenda ndio iliwaleta pamoja. So by 2012 he was already in and he was doing a character, Mwalimu King'ang'i, at Classic, a very great character, but not just that character. There was yet another character he was doing at Classic. Alikuwa na act kama kamsichana fulani kakuleta chai, kanachita Filogona. So for those guys who have never known that Filogona was actually Churchill, kuna watu wengi wanaishidanga wakipishana wakisema that's another person, but actually today I reveal to you that Filogona ni Churchill bado mwenyewe, ni Mwalimu King'ang'i mwenyewe. So those are two characters that he used to portray at Class, and he still does. They still command a huge audience at radio. Even at the moment, he has been doing this for a very long time, more than 10 years, quite a long time as a radio co-host, and at the same time a big MC, a big producer, big director. And also it's important to notice that he 2012, that's the time that Churchill started concentrating more on just being a moderator than a comedian himself, just moderating the program, just emceeing and introducing the talent. Now he was nurturing, introducing the talent to the stage, but ye mwenyewe as a moderator at this particular time. And this is the time that so many young talents were born. Now I'm going to read to you a list of comedians who have been given a chance at the platform, and they have turned out to be big names. They have either joined radio, they've got endorsements, they have turned out to be very, very big names in the society because of Mr. Ndambuki. Now we have one Mr. MC Jesse, who I normally call Churchill's PA. I don't know why I call him that, but I just consider him to be a PA of Mr. Churchill, because the moment you see Churchill, you imagine Jesse is somewhere there. Now we have Eric Omondi, we have Fred Omondi, we have Teacher Wanjiku, we have Mamito Yunis, we have Eddie Butita, we have Halid Abdul, we have Professor Hamo, we have Jim Tai, we have Sleepy David, we have Mitch the comedian, we have YY, MCA Tricky, Njoro, Mankush, Karimbo, Tom Daktari, Sam Kioko, Ambari Gani, Mr. Karis, Magazine ambaye baada ya kujita DJ Shitting. We have Aman the comedian. We have Habari zenu nyenye, Addis Jojo. We have Captain Otoyo. We have, of course, when you mention Captain Otoyo, you need to also mention Mr. Jalas, because Jalas, yes, of course, Jalas had a different journey, but he was a friend. He still is to Mr. Churchill. So this time Jalas also used to come at Churchill and perform. We have Mwende, we have Nasra Yusuf, we have Zedi, we have Olga Obina, we have Dr. Ofeneke, we have Smart Joker, then we also have David the student, we have Owago Nyiro, we have poet, a very, very talented poet, Mr. Teardrops. We have Kashmane Baite, he calls himself Jasper Mrume. We have Akoku Danger. This one who had some misunderstandings with our very own Vera Sidika the other day. We have Danko Wambilianga, you remember that guy? And this one Chipukizi from Mlolongo, that time it was a very, very big name. Now these guys, I don't know whether I've left out lots of others, maybe because of time, but you can remind them, or you can remind me on the comment section. So these guys became household names over the years. Now from that time ilikuwa ni kupiga show and so many others were born on the way. So many others, some of them left to venture into other businesses. Like Dave the student, I'm told, is a driver in the US or something like that. So some others ventured into other things, but others became very big, like the likes of Professor and MCA Tricky. Some of them going to radio. They became big names. Now, Churchill, over the years, has established himself into somebody very, very huge, with a huge audience. Now, I want to also highlight that he has been able to host very huge names. Somebody like the president himself, Uhuru Kenyatta, has graced the show. The deputy president, William Ruto, has graced the show. The Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has also graced the show. We have some other big politicians who have graced the show. We have also big names in terms of music and all that, Kina Calgrave Jones, Red Sanbati. We have also Nameless and Wahoo. We have STL, Alain Dimaco, and others have graced the show. In short, very, very huge names, especially those wasanis wenye wana grace the country kuja kuperform the times before corona, they ended up going to the show. I remember, you remember that girl from Nigeria, naitwaje? That girl who MC Jesse Changamki had and ended up kumwomba namba kwa stage. What's the name? I remember before we finish. So, and even some Nollywood actors, Kina Mikey Zuronye, they came to the show. So I think he ended up hosting lots of guests, high profile guests to the show, and also some guest performances. He was also bringing in comedians from West Africa and even Uganda and South Africa. Very new and very fresh energy on stage. The likes of Salvador, Basket Mouth, Teacher Mpamire, and many other guests I cannot mention Nimalize. Now he also was able to host some very special, to actually prepare and participate in very special comedy events. He came up with the Laugh Festival, where he used to invite some new faces and also anachukua some of his artists to perform there. He also came up and together with his friends, like from outside Kenya, they came up with a night of 1,000 laughs. I remember walifanya series tatu of the same, like 3 series of the same, and I still believe that after corona hii night of 1,000 laughs itaweza kurudi. Now from there he became such a huge name, to the extent that he used to actually perform outside the country. He used to go to America, he used to go to the UK to perform, to also try to ignite the African culture, the African comedic culture for the Africans who are living abroad, at that time. So he became to be a very big personality with a huge following at this time. Now I want us to look at the things that he has been able to achieve over the years, the successes he has had at this because of the kind of journey he has had. Now, I want us to look at his social media for a moment. For example, for his social media, for you look at YouTube, he has had 1.76 million subscribers right now, and is one of the he's actually the only individual who is at 1 million plus, because when you talk about other people who have been able to reach a million subscribers, maybe you talk about institutions or maybe media houses like kina Citizen, kina NTV pale, kina, I'm not sure kama KTN pia wamefika hiyo, I'm not very sure, you will correct me there. So but as an individual, a private as an individual personally, together with his showmates, the talent he has been able to come up with, they've been able to amass 1.76 million subscribers up to the moment when I'm talking. Now, personally, as an individual on Facebook, he's boasting of 3.9 million likes. Now that's a good number, and he's the only individual mwenye amefika hapo. Another thing to note is that he's the first Kenyan to hit 1 million likes on Facebook. Actually, President Uhuru Kenyatta used to be ahead, but wakati wanakaribia milioni, Churchill alikuja akampita kama gari ya miraa. So right now he's at 3.9 million likes, but he was the first Kenyan to hit 1 million likes. Now on Instagram he has more than 2.2 million followers. And also you look at the same when you go back to YouTube, his most popular video is that of MCA Tricky. It's called The Best of MCA Tricky, which is around 4.6 million views. Then the second one, of course, being the basket mouth performance at Laugh Festival, another project of Churchill, which goes by 4.3 million. Now, you will just forgive me for the background noise, kindly. I'm doing this in my nyumba ya mtaa. Now, the third one is that of MCA Tricky Shujaa Edition performance, which is unedited. It is boasting of 3.5 million views. And the oldest clip on the YouTube for Churchill is one that is known as Churchill Live Trailer, that goes for just about 41 seconds, and it has very few views. It's just boasting around 14,000 views at that time. Now, you will agree with me that Churchill has been influential all his life, and his journey has been tough at first, but later it became to be, a journey with some relief, because at the moment, as a family man, he has been able to get a lot of endorsements here and there. He has traveled, like I said. He has done lots of adverts here and there. He has made money on the way. He has made lots of money. He's got nice cars, like today he drives cars like Toyota Hilux and the likes of Toyota Land Cruiser and Toyota Range Rover Sport. And like in 1999 when he drove his first car, which was a Mazda KAD, a car that really frustrated him, and he sold it to a friend. He sold it to a friend after only 2 months. That was his first car, a Mazda, KAD. But today, some 20 years later, he's got a Toyota Hilux here. He's got a Toyota Land Cruiser here. He's got a Range Rover Sport. So in terms of finance, he's well off. And of course, goes without saying that the journey has been really, really, really fantastic. And also, another very good thing to note is that even when Corona came and kukusanyika kule kwa audience ikawa ni ngumu, he still came up with this journey series whereby he encourages people by bringing a guest to his show, to try to enhance the society by looking at those individuals who have made it so far, to also encourage the young people. So because of time, I will beg to finish there, but I want also you to go to the comment section, mniambie ni kitu kipi ama ni information gani ambayo nimeweza kuacha nje ya Mr. Daniel Ndambuki ama Mwalimu King'ang'i ambaye tumeamua kumfanyia jani kwa sababu mafans wake tunaumia. Amekataa kutufanyia jani, anafanya jani ya watu wengine. Yeah, so that was Daniel Ndambuki's journey. That is the journey for him. I've had to leave out some other things because of time, but I just thought I could share the most important things, the most important highlights about his journey all through, from ridiculous days to the days of the Journey series edition on Churchill'S show. So yes, he has got to be heartbroken sometime because he has lost some of his close friends and close talent yenye amelea, people like Ben Maurice Onyango, Othol died in the journey. Anthony Njenga Mswahili died in the journey. Emmanuel Makori aka Yaya died in the journey. Kase died in the journey. And one young kid by the name of Juma, who was a kid comedian, also unfortunately succumbed during the journey. It's a very tough journey. It's a journey that involves a lot of hurdles, and we just thank God for the few days they were with us, the few days they made us laugh, and the few days that we had a great time together. So finishing up, I know Mr. Churchill will get this one. Danny, thank you so much for inspiring lives. Thank you so much for being there for people when they need you. Thank you so much for being a hero all this time. We celebrate you. You are a living legend. Keep on emancipating the society. Keep on doing what you do to the best. And now Corona is going to fade away. We want the show back. We have missed the show. We want to see the show. We want to see the life in the show. We want to see the huge audience back in the show. We miss the laughter. We miss the noise MCJC used to make. We miss the happy birthdays when Eric Omondi used to come inside a box alafu anatokelezea pale anaruka kwa stage. We miss that. Come on, Corona, go away so that we can have our shows back. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Danny, and thank you for all who have viewed this one. That was Danny Ndambuki's journey, and next time, be here to know whose journey I'll be talking about. My name is Justine Bakora. Have a great time.